Alrighty, so let's start this off with a quick materials check. You're going to need a white sheet of paper. You're also going to need a black marker. I'm going to use a Sharpie today. And for this project, you will also need your watercolor kit. Most watercolor kits come with a brush, so make sure that you have a brush. And of course, you're going to need a container full of water. And for this project in particular, I'm going to use a brush that's just a little bigger than the one that came with the watercolor kit. All right, looks good. Let's get started. Okay, so for the first part of this project, what you're going to want to do is start by taking your brush and dipping it into the water. Get those bristles nice and wet. And I'm going to start off with purple. I'm going to add 3 drops. There's 1, 2, and drop number 3. Now with those 3 drops, I'm going to make a little baby puddle, and I'm going to do it gently, making a very small puddle in my purple watercolor. And once that puddle's been absorbed into my paintbrush's bristles, we're going to make an oval on the upper left corner of the paper. Just a little oval in watercolor. And then I'm going to go to the left of it and a little below, and I'm going to make another oval. This is going to be the purple petals of my first flower. Okay, so we've got 2 ovals, one diagonal to the left. Now we have to do one diagonally to the right. Okay, so I'm going to kind of refresh the watercolor, the purple watercolor on my brush, and make a diagonal puddle facing in the other direction. Just 2 more for 5 petals total. I'm going to make one pointing toward the bottom right of the paper, and then I'm going to make a diagonal puddle pointing toward the bottom left of the paper. And it's looking great. I'm loving it. Okay, fantastic. All right, so for the next step, what I'd like to do is I'd like to do this exact same shape, 5 purple petals, and I'm going to create these a little bit lower down on the paper and to the right. So I'm going to refresh the purple watercolor once again, and I'm going to start with that top petal. It's pointing up. Going to just smooth it on. Notice that I'm going slow. I'm taking my time. I'm being gentle with my watercolors. I'm not just slapping it on because watercolor is very watery. It doesn't work like regular paint, so you do have to be gentle. Adding a little bit more water. And on my second flower, it's time for that 3rd petal. Okay, looks great. And now for another petal that points down and to the right, making it exactly the same as the first one. And it looks great. Okay, and then the final petal that points down and to the left. All right, so I've got my 2 sets of purple flower petals. It's now time to clean the brush. So as you can see on the bottom of my water cup, I'm going to carefully drag the bristles back and forth, right and left, just kind of dragging them on the bottom to really get all of the color off of my paintbrush. Okay, and now it's time to choose a new color. So what I'm going to do is get my bristles wet again, and we're going with orange. So 3 drops from the water into the little bit of orange that I have. Mix it up, make a very gentle orange watercolor puddle, and I'm going to let my brush bristles really soak that orange up. And in the top right corner of the paper, I'm going to make a football shape. So it's 2 curved lines that come to a point, almost like an oval, but 2 curved lines that come to a point. All right. Now what I'm going to do is fill in the center. I've done one side, I've done the other, and now I want to fill it in. Because this is going to be like a tulip, but the petals haven't opened quite yet. They're still closed. Now that I've done that one, I'm going to add a little bit more of this orange watercolor onto my brush, and I'm going to place another closed orange tulip petal bulb on the bottom right of my flower, just down and to the right, a little bit past my purple petals, and then I'm going to fill that one in. Okay, looks great. Making sure this comes to a nice point. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to jump to another color, which means I need to once again clean my brush back and forth on the bottom of my water container. Nicely done. My brush is now clean. Let's choose our next color. So adding 3 drops of water, but this time to my red. 2 and 1 more, 3. Again, making a very gentle puddle. I don't want to move my watercolor kit around too much because now I have 3 puddles. one in purple, one in orange, one in red, and I don't want them to spill if I can help it. With my red, I'm going to make a circle shape, a red circle. I'm going to go round and round until I have a nice red circle. And of course, because this is watercolor and there is a lot of water in this, my red is actually going to come out looking a little bit more like pink. So if that's what's happening to yours, you're actually doing it right. I'm going to make another red circle down toward the left side of my paper. All right, just kind of dabbing into the red paint and going round and round and round. Looks very nice. Okay. All right, so now I've got 1, 2 puddles. Looks great. The next color that I'm going to go for is the yellow. So again, you can see me here just getting all of that red off of my brush in my water container. And then I'm going to put 3 water drops into my yellow. Here we go. And 1, and 2, and 3. And then I'm going to make that little puddle just like we've done for the other colors. Let my bristles kind of soak up that yellow watercolor paint. And once I feel like I've gotten that gentle puddle all worked up and the color's ready to go, I'm going to paint the letter U. That's right, just the letter U. And after I've painted that letter U, I'm going to do a wiggly line across the top. So letter U, wiggly line. And again, yellow is already a very light color, just like the red was, so don't expect for it to be a really bright yellow. It's supposed to be a watered down yellow. That's the whole point of watercolor. I'm going to place a second letter U with the wiggly top a little higher up to fill in the paper space that I have. Great. And let's do another little touch up just to make sure it looks nice. Notice that I'm going nice and slow still, focusing on my craftsmanship, making sure I'm doing the best possible job that I can while also having some fun. Okay. Now it's time to clean my brush once again because there is one last detail that I still need to add. So after my brush is nice and clean, I need to make another puddle inside my brown. And the reason why is because these purple petals, they need that brown in the center. So I'm going to do a nice small brown circle. So here we go again. 1, 2, and 3 drops of water. Excellent. Make that little colorful brown puddle. Soak it up with my bristles gently. Notice I'm not making a big mess in my watercolor kit. And I'm going to paint a very small circle in the center on both of my purple petal flowers. Great. After you've done this, we need to let this dry before we move any further. So I'm going to clean off my brush one final time for today's class. And I'm going to clean up very carefully. I don't want to move my water kit around too much. I just want to let my painting dry. That's all I've got for now. Don't forget to take a picture and upload it to Seesaw, and I'll see you next time.